You can call it the Great Resignation or the Great Reshuffle, but the facts are clear. Just since last November, the Bureau of Labor reports more than 12 million Americans have quit their jobs. But why? And how can Oklahoma employers and employees find a way to make their workplace a better place? Someone who's done a lot of research on that topic, made it Oklahoma specific, is assistant professor of professional practice and Easton Fellow at the Oklahoma State Spears School of Business. Abby Davis, good morning, Professor.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So what kind of research have you done with the Great Resignation, and how have you made it Oklahoma specific?
Absolutely. So our research is all Oklahoma specific. We partnered with the state of Oklahoma and Goodwill Industries of Central Oklahoma. We all came together to say, okay, we know what the national trends are, saying, but what's happening inside of Oklahoma? So we did a survey in December and January to really figure out, okay, what's going on.
And what did you find? What are some of the highlight points of it?
I would say the highlight, first focusing on our, let's say our unemployed population. The folks that are looking for employment right now, they haven't been on the market that long, and a lot of them were either furloughed during the pandemic or they were fired at some point in their career. So we still have some folks that are trying to find the next opportunity for themselves. When we look at the full-time employment, 45% of individuals that are employed full-time here in Oklahoma are considering leaving their jobs in the next 6 months. And when we dug into that to see, okay, why, flexible scheduling, hybrid work was a very high reason on the list.
Let's dig into hybrid work, because is that something that people are really demanding, and what is it?
Great question. It can be a lot of things. And let's say we ask people to rank, okay, what's most important to you? So salary is number one. You have to be able to bring food home on the table, right? Flexible scheduling was actually a little bit higher than healthcare in some aspects, which to me is huge because healthcare is very, very important. Flexible scheduling can be anywhere from having some hybrid, I can work from home some, but it can also just be different types of schedules. So there's a manufacturing company here in Tulsa that implemented a schedule that's a 4:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. schedule to help working parents and people that just need that flexibility.
So that's kind of what we do here on the morning show very early, and it is great for families. I can attest to that. When did this all really start? When I've heard it now rebranded the Great Reshuffle, but when did the Great Resignation start? Because the pandemic, right, the beginning, the global economy collapsed and people involuntarily lost their jobs. So now, when did this happen?
So I would say we've been talking about in HR what we say the talent wars for a long time. That was well before the pandemic. Now the pandemic obviously threw a kink into things. We had a lot of companies that had to let go portions of their workforce, but the Great Resignation has been going on for a while. Out of all the terms, as you mentioned, the Great Resignation, the Great Reshuffle, I've heard the Great Regret. I like the Great Reset. That's a term that I've been hearing more often because I feel like this is an opportunity where businesses can stop and say, okay, our business models have been disrupted. How we work has been disrupted. How can we use this as an opportunity to say, how can we work better to make our employees happier?
So the Great Regret, is that referring to maybe employees who made a mistake? I want to get into that, because if someone's going to quit tomorrow, let's just say, watching this program and they're like, I'm going to quit my job this week, next week, what would you advise them if they're going to be part of the resignation?
I'm going to say take a deep breath first and pause. I wouldn't quit your job immediately. My first piece of guidance is go talk to your employer. Maybe you have an idea about how you can have more flexibility at work and how you all can work better that they haven't thought of. This is new to all of us, so go talk to your supervisor, talk to your employer, see what they can do. And the Great Regret is saying that the grass isn't always greener. I think sometimes we think, well, everyone's doing virtual work, everyone's doing hybrid work. We're all still figuring this out, so talk to your supervisor first. Because
at the end of the day, it seems what the stats are showing, and I may be wrong, you may correct me here, but employees have a lot of leverage.
They do have a lot of leverage. So the labor market has tipped, and when we have more positions available than we have human capital to fill those, it becomes an employee market. So this is a time where employers cannot have abusive work environments. They can't have poor work environments. Poor supervision, that came up a lot in our study. I left my job because it was a bad work environment. We have to figure out how to resolve that ASAP, because employees are going to leave if they don't feel valued and respected.
If you're an employer and you're trying to fix the bad work environment, but maybe you don't know it's bad or you don't know how to fix it, what are some practical steps that they can take today, tomorrow, next month?
Absolutely, that's a great question. We call it your employee value proposition. You have to figure out what is it that you can offer employees that other organizations can't. And if you can't figure out what your unique employee value proposition is, maybe it's flexible scheduling, maybe it's higher pay, maybe it's tuition reimbursement. We've seen more and more of that coming up. Figure out what you can offer and package that and market to the workforce.
Well, Abby Davis, assistant professor at the Spears School of Business at OSU, thank you so much. This was fascinating to me. I hope viewers at home thought the same thing. Great job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.